Alright, so here we are in Adobe Audition and we have our extracted audio. And the first thing we need to do is to clean this up. So let's go ahead and play it a little bit. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the examples. Now fortunately the audio was recorded pretty well. The levels are pretty good. It wasn't too quiet and it wasn't too loud. And if you look at the waveform, there's not a lot of noise in between the speech parts. Now it's important to have good audio for Adobe Character Animator. In case your audio was too quiet, what you can do is go to Effects. Under Amplitude and Compression, you can apply normalization. Now what normalization does is it makes everything a lot louder basically, or it brings everything to the same level. I wouldn't set it to 100, I'd set it to maybe like 70 or 80%. And you can also set it by decibels, and I'd maybe go down to -6 decibels or something, probably be good. For now, our audio is pretty good, so we don't need to normalize it. So similar to normalization, what you can do is add compression to your audio. This is under Effects, Amplitude and Compression, and Dynamics. So what a compressor does is it reduces the dynamic range of audio, which is the difference between the loudest parts and the quietest parts of your audio. It makes everything kind of the same volume. Now what you want to do is you want to turn on the compression. This audio is pretty good, so we won't need to do a lot of compression, and I won't really go into too much of the detail in this video since this is mostly about Adobe Character Animator. So I'm going to do some basic settings. Set the ratio to about 3. We'll leave the threshold where it is for now. We'll drop the attack down to 0, or as close to 0 as you can. And we're not going to apply it just yet. Let's listen to the audio. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click, so you'll notice as we turn the compression off and on, it got louder when we turned it off and it got quieter when we turned it on. That's the compression in effect. It's basically making the loudest parts quieter, and this is really dependent on this threshold level right here. Here's some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets. We don't need too much compression on this. I'm going to leave it about 16 dB. That is the volume at which it starts compressing. So I think 16 dB is good. Get a little compression on the top. And then what you want to do is add some makeup gain. So what the makeup gain does is it makes the quieter parts louder. So just add a little bit of makeup gain. Let's go back. Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets. It's not really that noticeable, but we'll go ahead and apply, and you'll see what happens. See, now you'll notice here that there's less peaks and valleys in this waveform, but it seems like it got chopped off a little bit too much. So I'm going to go back in and redo that. So let's go back to Dynamics, Compression. Let's bring the threshold up a little higher. I don't need it chopping off so much. Let's do it at -10. And then we'll bring the makeup gain a little bit higher too. And that looks better to me. It's brought up the lower parts a little bit, and it hasn't chopped off the highs as much. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets, and it's pretty loud. It's at -6, so that's pretty good. So another thing you might want to do is get rid of some of the noise in between your speaking part. This audio isn't too bad, but if you did have a lot of noise, some kind of hum in the background, you can use the denoiser to get rid of it. So there's a little bit. You can hear a little bit of computer hum. We'll try to get rid of that. So select a part between your speaking parts, and then you can go to Effects, Noise Reduction, Noise Reduction, Restoration. And we'll go to Noise Reduction. You also have click Pop Eliminator, Hiss Reduction. We'll just go to Noise Reduction for now. And then we'll capture the noise print, which is this selected part right there. And then we can do the noise reduction to 100% and reduce by, I don't want it to reduce it by that much. 16 seems a little high to me. Do that in half. And then what you want to do is make sure you select the entire file, and then you can apply. Now you'll notice the change in the waveform. It's going to be hard to hear. Actually, you know what? We'll listen to it. See more. And actually I did a pretty good job. It's almost dead silent between the speaking parts. And you'll really notice it on the waveform itself. Let me undo it. Oops. And this is before, you have that little bump there. And this is after, it totally flattens it out. So getting your audio right is kind of an art and a science. And it's a little beyond the scope of this class, but you can keep going back in and doing noise reduction and normalization and compression to get the audio at the right level and sounding clean. Just be careful not to process it too much, because you can start to distort the audio. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and save the audio. Could do a save as. I think I may have saved it before, so we'll do a save as. All these settings are good. Okay. It's going to overwrite, that's fine. And it should update that in Adobe Premiere. So let's hop back in there. And here we are back in Adobe Premiere, and looks like the audio extracted. That is the audio from Adobe Audition. Looks like it's in there. Excellent. If you click See More, sounds good. All right. So now it's on to Character Animator.